Well, we're out on a crane with the C7. Need some injectors. So that's what we're going to be doing. Going to be pulling some injectors. I'm assuming, well, if you don't know how these C7s work, they're Hueys, so they use high pressure oil to actuate the injectors. So one thing you don't have to, but I would recommend, is this right here is a high pressure oil rail. All these different plugs is, obviously have the doghouse out of the truck. Pull that out, let the oil drain, which I did, but it seemed to clean up. That way, if you don't, when you pull this first injector, whichever injector you pull first, you're just going to fill that cylinder completely full of oil, and sometimes you can pump it all out, and sometimes it won't. I've never had one hydrolock or damage, but there's a couple times where it's like, oof, should have cleaned that one a little better. If you're also having problems with your C7 running, this is like if you have a lot of long cranks and you're able to hook up with ET or hook a gauge into this oil rail to check your high pressure oil, which should be at cranking, I believe it has to be 500 or 800 psi for the engine to fire. This is a check valve, so this is your fuel return line, and this will make sure that the fuel gallery is chock full of oil. And then this here is the actual pressure relief valve. So if you're having fuel pressure issues, this would be a good place to check. And then just returns down to tank. So yeah, I already got the first couple bolts out, and then we'll pull the injector, and I'll show you the trim codes and whatnot. So got the injector out, sucking the oil out. So I know there's a million different ways of getting it out, but this the sample gun is probably one of the easiest things. I picked it up at a cat dealership because it's got the little port right there for their sample ports, and I don't know, wherever you can find a hand pump. And then this little 1/4-inch tubing, you can get it at Menards, Home Depot, wherever. So when you get your injector out, just take a look at it. One thing, especially if you got high pressure oil issues, is these two O-rings. Because this is the gallery for the high pressure oil, and then that's gallery for your fuel. So see if any of those are blown. And then so the top there is that big. There's your part number. So anytime with cat, if you see a 10R, 20R, 0R, it's a reman number. So these injectors have been done once. That is your trim code. You give that to they used to send CDs with injectors, and you could just put it in the computer if you have ET, or I don't know if Texa or anybody else can load it like that, but they used to give you a CD with that number. They'd give you that file, and then you'd calibrate the engine to that trim file. But you should just be able to call your cat dealer with the numbers, or talk to the service writer, because he doesn't do anything all day anyways, and send him a picture of it or something, and they should be able to send you the files. So some injectors have a 4-digit number that you can just go into ET and change it. So when you hear like a 6NZ, a prefix 6NZ C15, and you hear the trucker boys like, "Oh, cat guy, put some hot codes. Need some hot codes. Need a little more power." That's what they mean, because there's what is it, 6999 or 6969 or 695? I don't remember what they are, but there's two of them that are the hot codes that'll just make the injectors fuel more. I don't know if you get any more power out of it, but you get more smoke out of it. So these might take that 4-digit number, but I'm pretty sure it's this long B one. So just be aware of that. So we'll clean that out and start putting the new injector in. Okay, well, these things are kind of boogers to get put back in. I mean, they're not boogers, they're just, they're boogers. They just don't press in. So Cat has a special tool to get them in and out, but I don't have it, and it's stupid. So what you do, go to Menards, Home Depot, whatever, just get some threaded rod. I can't remember what this is, like maybe, I don't know, 10 by 1.5 or something, or maybe it's 8 by 8, whatever. But yeah, just thread them in. Oh, sorry. You just got to thread them in, because they got to be long. You can use bolts if you have like really long bolts, and then take them out and put washers on them or nuts and force it down that way. But this is just easier, so it's just a one-shot deal. But I guess I should. So these are updated injectors. See how it's got the screen right there? So that's to protect if the Huey pump comes apart or something. Keep trash out of the injectors. Keep from premature failure. Also, I guess so. Like I said, the way these things work is you have oil coming in, and then and fuel. So instead of having a cam come around and physically push this injector down like they did for years and years and years, this thing allows high pressure oil to come in. Solenoid opens up, and that high pressure oil, that 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 psi oil, comes down and hits, and that's what actuates the injector. Well, the fuel side of it kind of acts like a buffer. It kind of absorbs some of that impact. So if you're running low fuel pressure or no fuel pressure, or this guy's damaged or has come apart, and you're just cranking and cranking and cranking and always losing prime, when you have low fuel pressure in these injectors, you're just beating the hell out of them from the inside. You know, you're gonna kill these injectors early. So it's kind of like if anyone's familiar with the 6.0 and the Blue Spring kit, it's the same thing that happened. Is that spring, that fuel pressure regulator spring got weak, didn't have enough pressure, and you just beat the hell out of these injectors from the inside. And I think that's kind of what happened. And we just had a big old cold snap, and I think and it gelled up, and I think that's kind of what killed it. But also, getting these things out, again, Cat has a tool. I don't have it. Sometimes you can get a bar in there, sometimes you can't. Wrong, right, and different. Sometimes I just use a seal puller. It's a Mac Tools S120P, but they sell it as a seal puller, but it's a whatever the hell I want it to be puller. And you just hook it up underneath right here and just tap on it with a hammer and kind of work its way out, and it'll pop. And I'm sure somebody's losing their mind and think that's hack job, and it probably is, but I don't give a shit, because it got it out and it worked, and I've done it a bunch of times, and it's, you know, I mean, I don't know if you were going to pull these and reuse them, maybe find something else, but I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but this ain't exactly the dealership. So sometimes you just got to use what you got to get it running. So yeah, if you can't get a bar in there to pull them out, use a bullet. Make sure you lubricate the O-rings, and then just work your bolts down. And then I got to look up the torque for the hold down bolts. So yeah. So there's a picture of the tooling that Cat actually wants you to use. And you do the same way of getting it out, but you put the nuts on the bottom side, and that's how you work it out. But like I said, because sometimes you just can't get a bar in there. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Just depends how you hold your tongue. But yeah, like I said, I just use that puller. So I don't know what that tool set actually costs, but I'm sure it's a lot more than just going to Menards or Home Depot and getting threaded rod, metric threaded rod. And then, so it says install socket head bolt 1B on the exhaust side. So there's your 1B. Tighten the exhaust side of the bolt 1B until bolt is seated. Install socket bolt 1A on the inlet side of the bracket. Tighten the bolt into 9 + 1 foot-pounds. Connect harness. So basically run that one down till it's tight. So it's just like putting bolts down in a 7.3. If you've ever done it, you tighten the one down till it's tight or whatever, and then you torque the other one. So yep. So there's the torque spec for that if you needed it. So I'll just give you an update. Got the back three in, going on number 3. Did find, let's see if I can find it here. Did find more metal. I think that came out of 4. Maybe it came out of 3. But I didn't really find anything in 6, but 5 had a whole bunch. 4 had some, 3 had some. So maybe there I missed it on 6, or it all plugged up in 5. So obviously we have some contamination issues with an injector let loose. I did replace the fuel transfer pump that piggybacks on the back of the Huey pump. And if you do, you have to pull the whole Huey pump and then flip it down, gear side down, pull the pump off. And before you do that, there's a bolt in the kit, and it'll give you instructions, or I can't remember. I had to look it up in SIS. Anyways, that kit has a Allen bolt, and the top left bolt you'll take out. You'll see on the pump that there's one mounting hole that's bigger than the rest, and that's the one that you'll put that bolt through, and that allows that Huey pump, something to secure that Huey pump together, and then pull the pump off. Because if you try to pull the transfer pump off the Huey pump in this position, this Huey pump will fall apart. Why they designed it that way, I don't know. Not a very good design, but yeah, you'll have a real bad day if you try and do that. So I did take the transfer pump apart because it wouldn't build any pressure, and that was whether I ran it out of a bucket or ran it out of the tank, because I ended up pressure tap here and I deadheaded this line. This line goes into the head. Wouldn't build anything. So that's why I replaced it, and I took it apart, and it was wore. The back plate, I guess that back bearing plate was pretty scuffed and wore out. So that's why I replaced it, and then still having issues with it running, or not running, I guess. So that's why it's getting a 6-pack, and then now we see the contamination. So I'm guessing it's an injector that came apart. I was thinking it could have been the pump, but unless something's wrong with this filter head here, or it just makes it through the filter. I mean, I don't know. That's a Baldwin, so who knows? But I would suspect the size of chunks to be caught in a filter. Anyways, it's probably like number 1 or 2, or maybe it's 3, and I won't find any metallic in 1 or 2. But so that's what happens. And like I said, like you maybe saw, the new injectors have those screens in them to protect from this contamination. So, but these are old style injectors. So there's an update. So I thought I'd run through, sorry for the buzzer, but I'd run through the calibration. So to get to this screen, you're going to go to Service, and then you're going to go down to Calibrations, and then you click on that, and it'll be Injector Trim File. It'll pull up this screen. So you need to change that trim code. So you can either exchange them, like if you swapped injectors, or you got to change it. I got this loaded. This 1356 is the one I want. And then I think earlier in the video I pointed out that 4-digit code on the bottom of the injector. So you'll have this number on it, and then there's a 4-digit. Well, that 4-digit is that confirmation. I don't actually remember having this. If it's been like this the whole time, I feel silly because yeah, I don't remember ever needing a confirmation code. But then you put that in, hit OK. It'll say, hey, if it's not the right one, you'll kill the earth or something, and then successfully programmed. So I already did the rest of these, but yeah, that's how you do it. So ready to primer up and start it. Well, got it running. Just like to check injection actuation pressure, desired versus actual. If you want, you can run the Huey pump test, but yeah, just go through and make sure everything looks good. Everything's supposed to be how it is, and